tonight we had promised that we were going to have well, twofold, talk a little bit about small businesses and also to talk about a opportunity to be able to help with the campaign that does not require having to open up your pocketbook or your wallet and give any money. So those are two things, and we're also going to talk a little bit about the voting also, just to make sure you guys know how to vote for the primary and that you have a clear plan. So we'll go back and review that. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was what kind of inspired us to talk about small businesses tonight. Was about 2 weeks ago I participated in the Radcliffe Small Business Alliance's candidate forum. And of course, since it was a small business alliance, most of the questions that were asked to myself and my opponent had to do about small businesses. But there was one particular question that kind of stuck with me after the forum, and I will post a copy of the forum because they actually released that video, so you can actually watch that forum if you would like. But the question was, what would I do as the next state legislator represent as the next representative for District 27 that would increase the small businesses opportunities to grow and also to encourage new startup businesses. So when I was asked that question, I didn't want to give something, super vague, like, reduce barriers to small businesses or level the playing field, because I knew that there wasn't much in that. And so I was just honest, and I said, you know what, if I would ask small business owners what would they want me to do, and what are things that that they would like to have changed or implemented that would help them. And so, that was my answer. And again, I think there'll be plenty of things as a state legislature where I'm not the expert. I need to go in and ask other people who are the experts of what we need to do. So after that forum, I talked with my team, and we decided we were going to survey a bunch of small businesses and talk to them about how are they coping with the pandemic, what have been things that are helpful, what's going to help them to recover, and then also just in general, what do they need out of their state government to be successful. So we talked to, there was over 100 businesses that were listed in the Meade County Chamber of Commerce. So that's where we kind of started. And we divided the businesses up by categories, and then we split the list, and everybody had about 20 people to call. And we, again, wanted to talk and make sure that we talk to people from all different areas, because of course there's lots of diversity when it comes to small businesses. So we talked to all the automobile dealerships, construction and remodeling companies, several retail stores, healthcare. I spoke directly with an optometrist, and we also, one of my members spoke directly with a florist, and a local florist. And so I just wanted to share with you some of the things that we found out. So first, the small business loans were very, very helpful that were offered by the state. Almost every person we talked to, not every single one, but many of them did apply and did receive the small business loans with the Paycheck Protection Program, so they were able to continue to pay their employees while businesses were closed down. Secondly, the unemployment was very helpful, especially because you could apply for unemployment when you had reduced hours. For instance, one of the construction companies we talked to said that they never actually closed down, but everything slowed down, and so it was able to benefit their employees because they could say that they just needed to be supplemented. And then finally, they also all shared that they felt very much that the government provided very clear directions on how to reopen. And if it didn't come straight from the government, for instance, the optometrist I spoke to said her association, they spearheaded how should we open up, and then they submitted that plan, and it was approved by the state. So everyone in the small business felt like they knew how to reopen. Now, not all of them have reopened 100%. There were some that said that they just didn't want to risk opening up because their shops were very small, so they were still limiting to curb service or online. And like I said, they all made different decisions on if they were opening up completely or if they were still waiting a while to until they felt like we were further through this decline. Now, the second thing we asked them was, how can we help as a community? And they all said, please, please, please buy local. So instead of, I know it's so convenient to order things on Amazon, but if there are things that you can buy local, please do that because they really need your business. They also, many of them are offering gift cards that you can buy now, pocket those for a little while. That gives them some money, and then use that once we're back, in back to normal business. So if you have a local business that you really like, see about buying someone, or even buy it for yourself, and some gift cards. Other places are also taking reservations in advance. So for instance, I believe it's the Lumberjack. They're not open yet, but they are taking reservations for later in the summer. So those are what they would ask us to do to support them, is just please become customers and go out of your way to support our small businesses. We also asked them, without the pandemic, what are issues that you're concerned about as a small business, like before this pandemic ever happened? And there really were two things that kept coming up. One was just kind of I guess, a feeling of a little bit of unfairness because they felt like corporations get more of the attention from the government, that they tend to get the bailouts and the breaks, and that small businesses feel like they always pay their part and they aren't usually, they don't usually get any breaks. And so that's one reason they were so thankful for the small business loans, because they felt like, for once, they felt like the government was thinking about them and helping them out. And the other concern was healthcare. And so they talked about that, healthcare is having affordable access to healthcare is so important for small business owners and for their employees. Because one woman shared with me that there are a lot of her friends who are small business owners don't have insurance, and some of them don't have insurance, and so they're not getting that preventative care. And when you don't get that preventative care, then a lot of times you have health issues that could have been avoidable. So I know it's an issue for all Kentuckians, but it's also very much a concern for small business owners, that there is affordable, quality health care that they have access to, and that also, since they are small business, that their employees have access to, because they're not large enough to provide health care to their employees. So that was their main concern. So after I still wanted to know, was there anything specific if I was the next representative for District 27, was there anything specific for small businesses that I could do for them? So after we had spoken to all these small businesses, I decided to go to an expert. And I'm getting my notes here. And the person that I spoke to was Terry Short. He is his company is Short Realty, and they're in Radcliffe, and he is one of the founders of the Radcliffe Small Business Alliance. And so I called him up, and I asked him, could I pick his brain? I told him that in the forum that he sponsored, that I needed some more information, and I wanted to make sure I knew what I specifically could do for small businesses. And so it was an amazing conversation. Terry is a Republican, and of course I'm a Democrat, and it was exactly what we need in government, was two people on different parties sitting down and having honest conversation. And Terry and I spoke about that, local at the district level and at the state level, it really shouldn't be about Democrat versus Republican. That's beside the point. What we want is people working together just to help their communities, and that it really it shouldn't be about party at all. We just need to work together. So once I spoke with Terry, I came up with two things that I should do, that should be my goals as a state representative to help small businesses and to help our communities. The first one was infrastructure, and I will say other businesses talked about infrastructure, but I need to make sure what we need is a representative who's going to go to Frankfurt, who is going to advocate for our community to get every dollar that we can get to go into infrastructure and make those relationships on that state level and make the case for why District 27, what our needs are. Now, when we talk about infrastructure, a lot of people think that that's just roads, but there's a lot of other things that are infrastructure. We can talk about highways, streets, and roads. So you're talking about rural and and also city, and it's water supply, it's waste management. We're talking about, waterways, trash, recycling. Also, telecommunication, making sure that in the areas that they don't have very good internet access, that we are able to expand that. And then also, some places are too congested, and they need it needs to be expanded just because there's too many people accessing the internet at the same time. And then it could also be mass transit, which we don't have a lot of that in District 27. But all of those things are foundations that are going to help our small businesses. And so when I talked with Terry, he said, there's not a specific tax policy. There's not a specific agenda. It's just we need the money for the infrastructure projects to make sure, number one, that work can get done by many small businesses. So those projects alone will help our small businesses, and also it just makes sure that once you have that infrastructure there, and we are building it and we are maintaining it, that it's going to help them to be able for people and goods to get to the small businesses and to be shipped out. And so those are things that the small businesses need. And so number one, champion for infrastructure. The second thing was that when Terry and I spoke, was that he said that at the state level, it's really important to be a strong leader who will take the time to make relationships between our county and our city government, and that to make sure that we're all working in the same direction. That everyone has different pots of money, and if people independently uh, pick their own projects and their own agendas, then a lot of times they could be working against each other, or not, hitting the biggest needs of the community. And so, as the next state representative, I would promise to be that organizer, that person that brings people together. And I would want to make and build relationships with the county government, which includes the fiscal court, your judge executive, and your magistrates. Your city government, which is going to be your mayor and then your council members. You also want the local school board to have a seat at the table, and then also the Chamber of Commerce. And so those are all people that on their own can do good work, but if we bring everyone together, then that's where we're going to make progress for our communities. And again, as the communities grow and prosper, so do the small businesses, and then so do the constituents. And so so I feel much more confident now that after speaking with all of our small business owners, and also again speaking with a very much a leader of small business in the Radcliffe area, that I know what I need to do. I know what should be my focus to help our communities. And so that is kind of what we learned this week from about small businesses. And if you are a small business owner and there's other concerns that I did not mention, and there's things, make sure that you reach out to me, because I again would love to speak with you, because I want to make sure that I am doing the work of the people, and the best way to do that is to talk to the people. I know that sounds pretty much common sense. So the second thing that we'd like to do is I would like to introduce one of my team members. I don't know if you all can see my sign in the back. I have a sign that says "Best Campaign Team in District 27," and I made that sign not as a joke, but my team is amazing, and they have been with me every step of the way, assisting me with with this campaign. And after they made all those phone calls this week, I just wanted to thank them. And so, since we can't see each other in person, I had made this little sign for our last team meeting. But today I decided, since we're the restrictions, social distancing, we have our restrictions are being lifted. Instead of bringing my whole team together, I want to introduce one person for my team on each of the videos until the primary. So today I'm going to turn the mic over to Dustin Bishop, who is someone that was a student of my husband's, and I have known him since he was a senior in high school. And he is going to talk to you all, just as a little reminder, about primary voting.
All right. Thank you, Stacy. Hello, everyone. As Stacy said, my name is Dustin Bishop, and I am going to talk to you about the options for voting in the primary on June the 23rd. But before I get to that, I'd like to take just a moment to talk about the reasons why I support Stacy Crossland. So as Stacy said, I met her when I was in high school. I had her husband, Mark, as my junior English teacher. And I come from a family, a single parent family who didn't have a lot of resources, and where no one in my family had graduated from college before I ended up going. And so instead of, just having me in the classroom and having the typical, student teacher relationship, Stacy and her family supported me in a very real way. They went out of their way to ensure that I had everything that I need. I think they saw a young person who wanted the most out of life and for his future, but didn't know quite the path to get there. And so they really supported me in a huge way. They walked me through the process of applying to colleges and talked to me about my options and the ways that I could pay for it. And I don't think I would be where I am today without Stacy and her family. I am lucky enough now to be running my own small business, a nonprofit organization in Louisville, Kentucky, that works to support students and families following the example that Stacy and her family set for me. And again, I don't think I would be where I am without them. I support Stacy Crossland because I believe we need folks in our government who truly care about the people that they serve and who are going to work their absolute hardest to ensure that they are doing what is best for their community. And I'm certain that Stacy is one of those people. So that's why I support Stacy. And now I will talk about voting options. So how you can vote during this time with COVID-19. There are two main options here. One is going and voting in person on June 23rd. You can go to your polling place in Meade County. The only polling site that's going to be open is Meade County High School. That is not the option that we recommend just based on the social distancing guidelines that have been put out by the state. Instead, we recommend one of the options for how you can do absentee ballots. So there are three main options for sending in an absentee ballot. The first one is just calling up the county clerk's office for whichever county you live in, either Meade County or Hardin County, and letting them know that you would like, requesting over the phone an absentee ballot, and then they will put it in the mail, and it'll get to you that way. The other way is, instead of making a phone call, just going online. So the URL to go to is govoteky.com. Again, it's govoteky.com. Now, don't be freaked out that it's a .com website. I was a little freaked out about that as well at first. It automatically redirects you to a .gov website, so you know it's the official website. But they've just given you an easier to remember URL there. So it's govoteky.com. Once you get to that site, you can request an absentee ballot. You can check your registration. They've got a lot of options there. You can see a sample ballot for who you have to vote for. But you're going to click on request an absentee ballot. It takes no time at all. I literally just requested my absentee ballot through the website. And again, they'll just send you the ballot in the mail. You'll fill it out. And for both of these first two options, you'll fill out your ballot, put it in the postage paid envelope that they send it with, and then you'll put it right back in your mailbox and you've cast your vote. The third option for an absentee ballot is to actually call up your county clerk and set up an appointment for you to go in person and fill out an absentee ballot before the actual date of the primary. So if you are uncomfortable with mail-in voting for any reason at all and would rather do it in person, you can still do the safer option of an absentee ballot by calling ahead and scheduling with your county clerk a day and a time where you can go in and cast your ballot in person. I believe that is all I have. I know that Stacy is going to be posting. She has already posted these instructions before, but we're going to be posting a pared down version of the instructions with phone numbers for you to call and that website listed for you. As always, feel free to reach out to Stacy with any questions that you have. Thank you.
We're doing the dance down here to try to social distance. So, so all right. So I was going to throw a couple dates in. If you want to, ask for online your ballot, your absentee ballot, it's June the 15th. And the reason you can't do it after June 15th, it's open now. I've already requested mine also. But the reason you can't do it after the 15th is they have 7 days to send that ballot. And I don't think it'd take that long, but they want to make sure you get it and that you can return it by the 23rd. So make sure if you're going to do that online, you have to request it by June the 15th. And then also making the appointments, in-person appointments can go all the way up until June 22nd, all the way until the day before the actual primary day. So you have a lot of time to get this done, but I say just go ahead and get it done, and that way you won't forget about it. So we have talked about small businesses, we've talked about voting, and the last thing I wanted to talk about was a way that next week that you can help our campaign. You guys have been fantastic, and you have given not just once. Many people have given multiple times to our campaign, and so I thought I want to just talk about how we can support the campaign without actually having to donate any money. The number one way that you can support this campaign is just by talking to people, talking to your neighbors, talking to your family, talking to your coworkers, just bringing up. And a good way to bring it up is to say, how are you going to vote in the primary? That might be a really easy opening because some people don't like to talk politics. And then once they've shared how they're going to vote, then you might say, well, have you decided who you're going to support in the House of Representative race? And that would just be a really nice, easy way to be able to share. So if you are a supporter and you know you're going to vote for me, then just use your little realm of influence. You'd be surprised how many people that you could talk to that may not know about our campaign, that just that little conversation could make the difference and turn them into a supporter. Secondly, if you'd like to go a little bit further, we are going to start something that is called a virtual phone bank. And the reason it's virtual is normally when you think about a phone bank, people come together, they come to a campaign site, they sit around, and everybody at the same time makes phone calls to potential supporters, to registered voters. But we are able to create with Vote Builder a virtual phone bank where you can, anytime that you want, log on, and everything will be there. Your script will be there, and you'll just follow through these specific questions and ask people if they know how they're going to vote and then who they're going to support. And then as you do that, you'll mark these responses, and it will automatic upload to our campaign, so we can get a little feel of, how many people are supporting our campaign and what the needs are. So I don't have all of that completely ready, but I wanted to just tell you that's going to be an opportunity. I think that we will probably launch that on Monday. And then again, what's wonderful is you won't get a list of 30. I can remember when I did phone banking a long time ago, they'd give you a list of 30 people. So if I only called 10, then I felt like, oh, I didn't finish my homework. And then I felt guilty about the 20 people I didn't call. But for this, you just pop on, you make whatever calls you want, and then you pop off. And it's not like you get a specific list. There's just two banks that I've created, some Radcliffe numbers that we want to call that are people that we know pretty much 99% sure they're going to vote, so we want to reach out to them. And then I have, and there's about 900 people, phone numbers on the Radcliffe list. And then there's around 20, was it Dusty, 28? About 2,800? I think so.
Yes, yeah.
About 2,800 voters that we would love to touch base with in the Meade County area. So if you are interested in phone banking, our virtual phone bank next week, then what I'll ask you guys to do is just send me a message, reach out to me. And if you don't care if it's Radcliffe or Meade County, if it's Hardin or Meade, but if you do care, tell me which phone bank you want to have access to. Because what I will do is respond with directions on how to do it, and then you'll have to have a password to get on and access that. So that's something to think about. It is the next best thing to being able to go out and canvass and knock door to door. We know that that is the most effective way to grow a campaign, is to knock door to door and talk and have legitimate conversations with people. So since we cannot do that because of COVID-19, this virtual calling, this virtual phone bank is the next best thing. And so we're excited, and we're going to be using that all the way up to the primary. So I think that is what we have. I'm going to look here on my comments. I always forget to do that, see if there's anything that I haven't addressed. If you have a question, if you want to submit it. Let's see. All right. Great job, Dustin. You got a comment. You have a fan.
Well, thanks.
Let's see. All right. I don't see any questions. So thank you again for spending 30 minutes of your Thursday evening with us. And if there's anything that you have questions on, please reach out to us. And then next week is going to be a little bit of a twist. And next week is going to be a job interview. I am going to interview for state representative for District 27. And what I mean by that is I feel like running a campaign is nothing but an extended job interview. That as you look at a candidate and the people that they surround themselves with, the way that they campaign, the way they communicate to the voters, how they spend their money, how they raise their money. I think all of that is just a little bit of a preview of what kind of leader they would be if elected. And so we're going to talk next week about how our campaign has been run. And I am going to do my very best to convince you that I am the best candidate. And hopefully that with this, it will also give you some information so that when you do have those conversations that I hope you have with the people around you, you would be able to share some of this information. So that's going to be our topic next week. So I think it'll be kind of fun. And I'm going to check the comments one more time. I think all right. So you all have a wonderful evening, and thank you again for joining us.